Picture two coworkers. Same desk, same floor, same paycheck. Both staring at their phones during lunch. One is refreshing his bank app, watching his savings balance tick up a few cents in interest, completely unaware that the dollar sitting in that account has lost 25% of its purchasing power in the last 4 years alone. He feels responsible. He feels safe. He is neither. The other one just got a notification. Her automatic Bitcoin savings plan executed. She glanced at it for exactly 2 seconds, smiled, put her phone away, and went back to her lunch. Same lunch break, completely different financial trajectories. What separates them isn't salary. It isn't luck. It isn't even intelligence. It's a small set of specific beliefs, habits, and hard-won realizations that most people walking this planet will never have, because the system works very, very hard to make sure they never do. There are 15 of them. If most of these describe you, you are not just ahead of the average Bitcoin user. You are ahead of 95% of the world. Let's find out exactly where you stand.
Here's something the average person has never once been told to think about. Every single dollar in every savings account in America is losing ground. Not because of bad luck, not because of market forces nobody could predict, because losing ground is the plan. Central banks need inflation. Governments need inflation. It dissolves debt. It forces spending. It is, in the most technical sense possible, a tax on anyone patient enough to save. The average person isn't failing because they're lazy. They're failing because they're playing a game rigged against patience, against saving, against long-term thinking. But here's the beautiful part. The bar to be ahead of that average is shockingly low. Let's see if you've already cleared it. Sign 1. You bought Bitcoin before you fully understood it. Most people wait until they're 100% certain. They research, they hesitate, they wait for more certainty, they wait for a dip, they wait for the right moment, and that moment never comes. You didn't wait for perfect understanding. You saw something worth investigating and you bought a small amount anyway. That action, however small, placed you in an elite minority that most of the world's population has still never joined. Understanding followed the action. It always does. The tourists are still waiting to understand first.
Sign 2. You've stopped thinking in dollar terms. Here's the mental shift that separates observers from believers. The average person asks, where will Bitcoin's dollar price be in 6 months? That's fiat thinking wearing a Bitcoin costume. You've stopped asking that question. Instead, you ask, how many Satoshis can I accumulate this month? How do I grow my stack? You don't measure your Bitcoin in dollars. You measure your dollars in Bitcoin. That inversion is everything. Sign 3. You control your own keys. Not your keys, not your coins, sounds like a bumper sticker until the day an exchange freezes withdrawals, files for bankruptcy, or the founder vanishes with everything. If you've moved your Bitcoin off an exchange and onto a hardware wallet, a device you own with keys only you control, you've done something the majority of self-described Bitcoin owners have never done. You've actually taken possession of your asset. Not an IOU, not a promise, the actual asset. That's not paranoia, that's property rights.
Sign 4. You have a written seed phrase stored offline. A hardware wallet is only as secure as the backup behind it. If your seed phrase, those 12 or 24 words that unlock your entire financial life, lives on a piece of paper in your desk drawer, you're ahead of someone with nothing. But if it's stamped in steel, split across locations, stored somewhere fire and flood can't reach, you are operating at a level of financial security that most bankers, lawyers, and wealth managers have never even thought to consider. You took a quiet afternoon to solve a problem that most people don't even know they have. Sign 5. You DCA without checking the price. Dollar cost averaging isn't sexy. There are no charts to stare at, no thrill of timing a perfect entry. It's automatic, mechanical, and boring. And that's precisely why it works.
If you've set up automatic buys, weekly, monthly, whatever fits, and you don't adjust them based on whether the price is up or down, you've removed the single most destructive force in investing: yourself, your emotions, your panic, your greed. Most people never escape those forces. You built a system to make them irrelevant.
Sign 6. You actually know what the halving is and why it matters. Ask the average person what a Bitcoin halving is, you'll get a blank stare, or maybe a vague something to do with mining. You know that approximately every 4 years, the rate at which new Bitcoin is created gets cut in half. You know that this is coded into the protocol, immutable, unstoppable. You know that this is where Bitcoin's deflationary soul lives. Every other asset on Earth, stocks, real estate, gold, can be diluted. Supply can always be increased. Bitcoin's supply schedule is carved in mathematics. You understand why that changes everything. Sign 7. You've read the Bitcoin white paper. Just 9 pages. Most people who call themselves Bitcoin investors have never once read it. You have. And you understood that Satoshi wasn't just building digital money, he was building an escape hatch from a financial system that had proven in 2008 it could destroy millions of lives and reward those responsible. You read the founding document of the hardest monetary network ever created. That puts you in a smaller club than you'd imagine.
Sign 8. You don't care about getting rich in Bitcoin. This one is subtle, but it's the deepest divide. The tourist buys Bitcoin hoping to sell it later for more dollars. Every price check is about, am I rich enough yet to cash out? You've crossed a different line. You're not accumulating Bitcoin to eventually trade it back for fiat. You're accumulating Bitcoin because you want out of fiat. Your goal isn't more dollars, it's fewer dollars held by you, replaced by something that can't be printed. That's not a trading strategy. That's a philosophical exit. Sign 9. A 40% drop doesn't make you want to sell. Bitcoin's volatility has shaken out more believers than any FUD article ever written. The price drops 40%, and people who called themselves long-term holders suddenly remember they needed that money. But you've been through it, or you've studied enough history to know every single drawdown in Bitcoin's existence has eventually been erased and then multiplied. You know that volatility is not risk for the long-term holder. Volatility is opportunity. When the market bleeds, you don't reach for an exit. You reach for your buy button.
Sign 10. You've stopped chasing altcoins. Everyone gets distracted by them. The dog tokens, the layer 2 promises, the Ethereum killer of the month, the 10,000% APY yield farms. You went down that road, maybe. Or maybe you saw clearly from the start. Nearly all of it is noise, speculation, and at its worst, deliberately engineered to separate you from your Bitcoin. You're not in crypto, you're in Bitcoin. That distinction, which most people think is snobbery, is actually just pattern recognition across 15 years of market history. Sign 11. You understand why miners matter. The average person thinks Bitcoin is just an app or a website. You understand the physical, industrial reality underneath it. Miners are the backbone of the network. They spend real electricity, real capital, real resources to secure every transaction. The competition among miners is what makes the network attack-resistant. The difficulty adjustment is what makes it self-regulating. You understand that Bitcoin is backed by thermodynamics, by physics, by the real world. That's not digital magic. That's a genuinely novel form of security no fiat currency can claim.
Sign 12. You've looked into running your own node. Most people trust that someone else is telling them the truth about their balance. They trust banks. They trust exchanges. They trust someone. You've at least looked into running a Bitcoin node, a device that downloads and verifies the entire blockchain independently, trusting no authority, checking every rule itself. If you're running one, you are the network. You don't ask for permission to verify your own money.
You are living proof that decentralization isn't a talking point. It's a reality, one small computer at a time. Sign 13. FUD slides off you like water. Bitcoin is dead has been written in major publications over 400 times. It is alive. Bitcoin will be banned. El Salvador made it legal tender. Several US states have passed Bitcoin reserve bills. Multiple nations are racing to hold it. Bitcoin is only for criminals. Blockchain is the most transparent financial ledger in human history. Cash is far more anonymous. You've heard every one of these arguments. You looked them up, you found the counter evidence. And now when a new wave of panic articles hits, you don't even slow down. You've built intellectual immunity through actual research. Sign 14. You think in decades, not quarters. The fiat system trains short-term thinking into us from birth. Quarterly earnings, annual bonuses, monthly rent. Everything is now, now, now. You've developed what Bitcoiners call a low time preference. You can delay gratification. You can watch a number on a screen move down without flinching because you're playing a game measured in years, and the scoreboard at that time scale tells a very different story. This isn't just a Bitcoin skill, it's a life skill, and most people never develop it because the system needs them not to. Sign 15. You sleep well, no matter what the chart says. This is the final sign, and it's the one that means everything. The average investor has a quiet terror living in the back of their head. Fear of inflation, fear of recession, fear of outliving their savings, fear that the retirement account won't be enough, fear that the whole system might one day just stop working. You have built a foundation underneath your life that doesn't depend on any government's promises, any central bank's competence, or any CEO's integrity. What you own, you control. What you hold, no one can seize without your private key. That's not a portfolio strategy. That's freedom. And you feel it every night when you close your eyes. Here's what connects every one of these 15 signs. None of them require wealth. None of them require a finance degree. None of them require connections or luck or being born into the right family. Every single one requires only two things: the willingness to see the system clearly and the discipline to act on what you see. The average financial life in this country isn't a standard to aspire to. It's a warning. It's what happens when a person is smart, hardworking, and well-intentioned, but operating inside a system that works directly against their interests without ever telling them. You are not that person, or at least you're working on not being that person. How many of these 15 signs describe you right now? Drop the number in the comments.